Dear friends, both Colonel Wendy and I pray that you are keeping strong and healthy at this time. I want to thank you for watching this short video and your interest in our annual self-denial appeal. I also want to thank you for supporting in this year's sports challenge in place of our large walkathon, which was cancelled. The annual self-denial appeal is an opportunity for us to bless those who are less fortunate than us and who have much less than we have. There are still many people who are suffering and who live on very little every day and even wonder if they will have their next meal. Thank God for the Salvation Army that is working in many of these rather challenging countries and still providing support to individuals and communities that are in need. Your giving to our annual self-denial effort will continue to provide livelihood and positive support in many of these difficult countries in the world today. And so I want to say thank you to you for giving generously. Today I want to share with you the message, a very short message on the blessedness of giving. There has been no rain for 3 years in Israel. The country was in a very serious drought and water was very precious. Elijah the prophet had prophesied to King Ahab that God will judge Israel for their unfaithfulness with a very severe drought. And then to prove that Jehovah was the true God, Elijah challenged the prophets of Baal on Mount Carmel to a contest. He said, "The God who answers by fire, He is God," declared Elijah. The prophets of Baal gathered and with all their antics failed to call down fire from heaven to consume their sacrifice. Next, it was Elijah's turn. Having rebuilt the altar and placing the sacrifice on it, he called for 4 large jars of water to be poured on the offering and on the altar. If that was not enough, he called it to be done again, and then a third time. 12 jars of very precious water was used at a very serious time of drought. It was crazy. We all know the rest of the story. After Elijah prayed, fire of God came down from heaven and consumed not just the sacrifice, but the altar and the water as well. And then, true to the word of Elijah, the heavens opened up and refreshing water poured abundantly on all of the land again. The request for the precious water by Elijah seemed unthinkable. The water could have been used for themselves. The people could have said no to Elijah's request. After all, why offer it as part of a sacrifice? Well, my friends, this is the simple principle of giving. The water was limited and very precious. It could have been kept for themselves to use. Yet it was given up to Elijah as part of the sacrifice. God not only accepted the sacrifice, but also proved himself as the true God. God then poured out the blessings of an abundance of rain. We must be willing to let go of that which we have as a willing sacrifice to God. In fact, nothing should be so precious to us that we cannot let it go for God's use. A young boy, another story, a young boy willingly gave up his precious lunch of 5 loaves, 2 fish to Jesus in feeding the miracle of 5,000 people. A poor widow put her 2 small copper coins into the temple treasury, and it so impressed Jesus that he said out of her poverty, she gave everything. And then in Romans chapter 12, verse 1, it reminds us and it challenges to further offer our lives as living sacrifice, wholly acceptable to God. And so, my friends, as we participate in this year's self-denial, let us not see our gift of money as a sacrifice, but rather as a privilege to partner and to share in God's work today. All that we have comes from God, and what we are all called to be good stewards of God's blessings and provision. It is very easy to look upon our precious and limited money that we have and hold back on our giving. We reason that these could be used for other more pressing needs that we have. You may be correct, but we will miss the opportunity of the blessing of giving. So let us honor God with our giving today. Give generously, give willingly, and give joyfully. Oh, one more thing. In all of the stories of giving in the Bible, there's always the abundance of returns and blessings, both to the giver and to the recipients. It may not be in the form of wealth and riches, but definitely blessings and blessings from God. And the honor and glory goes back to God. Amen.